Okay friends, today I'm picking my fall reads because it is getting close to fall. Starbucks released its fall pumpkin menu and I'm getting super excited. So I do have all my books organized right here, but I thought that I would pick out my fall reads for I think like September and October, and then maybe change it up in November depending on what I'm feeling. But I'm gonna force myself to do like thriller, fall vibey kind of reads since Halloween is coming up in October. So I know that when I organize my bookshelf, I already kind of put those together. So I'm hopeful that I can find, I think they're all just in one spot, but let's go ahead and grab them. It's also like really sunny just right here. So the lighting keeps changing every time I move, but whatever. We're just gonna embrace the sunshine at this point. Okay, so I was right. They are all in the same spot. So this is a little not as fun as I was hoping it would be, but these are the ones that I'm hoping to read. Oh, if you can see this whole stack. Hopeful to read for this September and October. We'll see how this goes. Up first is The Silent Patient, which I actually got last year and I've heard really good things. I haven't read it yet. I haven't tried to read it, so I have this one. I think that'll be a good like spooky thriller mystery kind of vibe. And then I found the last thing he told me last year at Blue Vase for literally $4.67, like under $5 for this new book. So I'm excited to read this one. I know that it just became a TV show with Jennifer Garner. I don't know if I'll watch the TV show, but this is another like thriller one. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. Then I have The Girl on the Train, which I actually bought from a used bookstore like a long time ago. I've had this one for a while. I did try reading this one and I didn't like it. So I'm actually kind of nervous to read it because I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I tried so hard to get into it and I just never did. I'm going to try again, but we'll see what happens. And then this one, my aunt read, I think like a long time ago. I don't remember if she bought me a copy or if she let me borrow hers and now I just have it. But it originally started out as a Wattpad story and then it got published into a book. So it's a thriller about, let's see. Yeah, basically it's like an IM messaging kind of thing that turns deadly. So I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but I think that'll be a good like spooky vibes kind of read. And then the last one is Providence by Carolyn Kepnes, which my husband actually got this for me for my first birthday when we were dating, and I still haven't read it. If you're not familiar, she's the author of You, the You series, the You, not You, the You series, which has Joe Goldberg in it, and it's a TV show, it's a book series. I did really like those books, so I'm excited to read this one. It's obviously different. It's not part of like Joe Goldberg or anything like that. So I'm excited. I've heard a lot of good things about this. It's like dark and eerie, so a good vibe. And then on my Kindle, which I don't actually have a Kindle, I have the Kindle app on my iPad, so sorry, but I have Then She Was Gone on my Kindle, so I'm also hoping to read that if I have time before it's spooky Halloween season. So those are all my reads that I'm hopeful to get through for the next couple of months. Kind of last minute, I had made my fall TBR and then my dad was reading a book and he was telling me that I should check it out, and then he let me borrow it, and I'm not sure how you say this, but it's Michigan's something Saint, like strychnine, I don't know. But it's actually a true story about a woman in Kalkaska, which is the town that my dad and that part of my family live in. So I am excited to read this, but also kind of nervous. I remember my dad had this like Michigan book and it had these legends in Michigan, and there were some really creepy ones that freaked me out as a kid. So this will be really interesting to read. I think it's like a murder mystery kind of thing, and this woman seemed really sketchy and they still don't know if she was the murderer or not. At least that's what I believe it's about. But it's a true story and not typically what I would read, so I am excited to read it and talk to him about it. But it's only like 150 pages, so I'm hoping to fly through it fast and then be able to read the rest of the books on my TBR. So I'm starting this today. I have not started it yet. It's been a couple days where I haven't had time to read anything, so I'm excited to be reading again. And yeah, I'm gonna start with this and see if I'm able to finish it soon. So, little update, it is now Sunday and I spent about an hour and 57 minutes, so almost 2 hours reading this book. And honestly, it's not really my go-to kind of book because it's an actual real history book. So it talks about this woman that actually murdered people in Michigan. It was also a mystery because this woman killed multiple people with poisoning, and then she kind of started a trend in the 1900s, and so there were multiple cases within this book about other women that murdered their husbands, their kids, or whatever with poisoning. So honestly, a little terrifying. Overall, I think I would give this book like 2 stars just because it's not what I typically read, and I did like it, but it wasn't like my favorite. It wasn't an amazing read. I would recommend it if you like to read history or if you like true crime, like that's kind of cool, but it also went way too into detail about like the court case. And when it mentioned all these other women that were murdering people by poisoning them, I just kind of was like, what? I mean, like, I get what they're doing with this being like a big case and then it happening constantly, like over and over again, so I got it. But overall, not one of my favorites, but I did like it. I think it's cool for a true crime in the fall, and especially being in Michigan, in a place that I've been to, I thought that was pretty cool. But I also, so going off of my fall TBR, I read Not Without My Daughter this weekend, which a friend had recommended it to me because of my job as having, like, potentially having this woman or her daughter or both on our podcast. And so I read this book. I started it Friday while I was working, and I got like halfway through it on Friday, and then yesterday I finished the rest of it, and I loved it. It had me on the edge of my seat. I wanted to know what was happening. It was so intense. Just thinking about, if you're not familiar with the context of this story, it's about this woman named Betty who is married to an Iranian man, and her daughter are going to Tehran with her husband because he wants them to meet the family, to be back in his hometown, like all these things. But Betty kind of has this fear that he's going to trap them in Tehran, and that's exactly what happens. So it's pretty terrifying to think about that actually happening. And then just the horrible experience that she had while she was there, of just being abused, of people not being willing to help her, just the culture there and all the differences between that culture and Western culture. Just all the things. It was really intense, but really good. So I couldn't put it down. I'd probably give this like 4 stars, but unfortunately it is not part of my fall TBR. So I still have a big stack of books that I want to read before November. So I have 10 books, and I read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, so that was 3. And then I just read the Michigan strychnine. I'm not sure how you say the name of that poisoning, like strychnine, I don't know, but I read that one, so that's 4. So I have 6 books left of my fall TBR, but I have The Silent Patient, which everyone was going crazy about last year, and I never got around to it, so I think I'm gonna read this one next. And then after this one, Providence, it's by the author of You with Joe Goldberg. I think I'm gonna read this one first and then this one after this one, but we shall see. I'm very excited to dive into this one, but I'm also really nervous, and the cover freaks me out because I realize it's actually like a woman, it's a face, so that kind of gives me the creeps. So, and I've heard there's like a really interesting plot twist in this one. So it's a thriller, it's creepy, we'll see how this goes. It's the last week of September, so I'm running low on time to finish all these books, but I tend to fly through thrillers because I fly through thrillers. That's kind of a tongue twist, but I tend to fly through them because I just want to know what's happening or what is going to happen, and there's typically a lot of plot twists, a lot going on that you just want to know the full story. So this is my next read. So I wanted to give a little update because I'm like 136 pages in to The Silent Patient, and I'm trying to prepare myself for the plot twist because I don't know where this is going. I have some guesses. Like, I do not trust the other psychologist that's in this book. His name is Diomedes. I'm not sure how you say it, but I looked it up because I know that it's a name in Greek mythology, and I was like, I wonder if this is gonna be a hint for the plot twist. And it means the god of cunning, and so I just really don't trust him, and I wonder if he's gonna have something to do with what is actually going on here. It's honestly just a really messy thriller where I'm like, I want to know what's going on because there's a lot that is lies and just manipulation and all these things that are happening where I'm like, I just want to know what's happening. So I definitely want to finish reading it. It is not very fast-paced, but I feel like I just want to know what's happening, so I'm reading through it pretty fast, and I'm pretty addicted to it because I want to know what is going on. So that's my little update and my guess for maybe what's going on. I'm wondering if Alicia's husband was murdered by his older brother and she's so traumatized that she just can't talk, or if something else is going. I also don't know if the narrator is reliable. I kind of feel like he's lying to us and there's more to the story, so I'm interested to see if he's an unreliable narrator and that comes out. I don't know, but I'm pretty excited. I also just realized the shadows from the light make my face look terrible. So I finished this book last night, and let me tell you, I wasn't exactly like floored or shocked. I was more excited because I figured out what was going on kind of before the big end and the big, like, when you figure out, okay, Emmy just loves to be in the camera apparently. Suffice it to say, I figured it out and I'm just so proud of myself for figuring it out. But because of that, it wasn't, I would probably give it 3 stars just because I knew what was gonna happen and I had kind of guessed the plot. I'm not gonna say what I said, but at the beginning of me talking about this book, like when I was halfway through, I said something in the video, which is what I thought about this book. I had some ideas about what was going on, and I won't say any spoilers, but I will say I was right about something. So if you haven't read this, just try to forget what I said when I was halfway through it, but I am just so psyched that I got it. Like, I figured it out. I'm super pumped that I finished it because I still have 5 books left on my fall TBR, and September's not even over yet. So now I'm feeling better about my fall TBR. But yeah, so finished this one. I have decided that my next read will be Providence by Caroline Kepnes. Let's get into it. That's my next fall read. So as I updated you guys, I started reading this book last night, Providence by Caroline Kepnes, and I'm like 50 pages in. Yeah, 49, so very close to 50. Honestly, this book is super fast-paced. Like, the writing is really short sentences and it just goes by really fast. So I kind of think that I'm gonna finish this one really fast, but my goal is to upload a YouTube video every Friday, and I have fallen way behind that. And so I was planning on doing like a video for all of my fall reads, but it is now Friday and I don't have a video to post. So I think I'm gonna cut this and make it into 2 parts. So I'm gonna leave it off where I am starting this book. It's really good. If you haven't heard of it or you don't know the premise, basically it's this girl named Chloe and her best friend John, and they're best friends, but they're kind of in love with each other, even though Chloe is like not as in love with him, I guess, but they have this bond. And then at the very beginning, John goes missing, and so then Chloe lives 4 years of her life without him, and then he comes back. So last night I got to the part where he came back, so it just seems really fast-paced. But then I was reading the synopsis because I can't really remember the full context of the story, and eventually it turns into a murder mystery where a detective thinks that there's a serial killer and he's trying to figure out why these college students are basically dropping dead. So this one I think is going to be really good. I already feel like I could just devour this book in one sitting. Like last night I did not want to stop reading. I was like, one more chapter, one more chapter, one more chapter, and I read like 5 chapters, I think. But Anyways, I think I'm gonna end this vlog, so make sure to keep an eye out for part 2 of my fall TBR. It's gonna be October on Sunday, so it will actually be the spooky fall vibes with Halloween coming up. So I'm just excited to keep reading these thrillers. I'm almost done. I have 5 more after this one. So keep an eye out for that next video, and thank you for watching this one. Bye guys!